the question of values underlies a lot of things, because values reflect what's important, and leaders obviously represent values. That they are, if you like, they embody and symbolize values, and so all acts of leadership will be drawing upon some kind of values, but not all values are good values. That's the difficulty, and not all values really reflect consciousness on the part of people, that many of our values may not be thought through very much. They may simply be the values we were handed by society, or they may, on the other hand, be values that we've kind of discovered and worked through ourselves. And so it wouldn't be unusual that leadership could come or stem from people who are confused about their values, or may, in fact, in some cases, have contradictory values. So the idea that values are always going to be coherent and non-contradictory probably is inconsistent with human nature. That people can say one thing and do another quite readily and live that way kind of indefinitely until they get caught up somehow on it. So many leaders don't make a lot of sense on the level of values because they, as I said, they're contradictions in their values. And so they might be very competent leaders and yet be values kind of incoherent or conflicted or something of that sort. And similarly, people taking leadership may not think of that as being a problem. They may think everybody else has a problem, not them. This would be a very common kind of response when leaders get confronted on this. Well, that's your problem because my values are coherent and good and whatnot. That question can only be resolved by people having some time to think about their values, to talk them over, to resolve the contradictions that others see in their values, but also the contradictions that may be, up to that point, not even on the radar for a lot of people. For instance, there would have been, in the case of people of the last century that were involved with the stolen children generation, people that would have thought they were providing leadership by saving the savages from their culture. And if they just had European culture, then these primitive Aboriginal people be right, you know. And to them that seemed perfectly sensible because we all knew at the time that European culture was so much better than anything 40,000 years of Aboriginal people would have come up with, would have been. And of course the Europeans' culture has no dark side to it at all. The incessant wars and oppression of each other and so on, it really was something Aboriginal people should strive for and whatnot. But to the leaders of the time, they just didn't see their contradictions, and families are not insulated from this. Whether you're a family member or whether you're a professional, whether you're an ordinary citizen, doesn't really matter. It's the value system that you've been working from that's always going to be kind of problematic. So it's quite possible, and some of the stories, the biography of some of the people in the room is quite clear that they've shifted their perspective on many things at points in life when it has seemed to make sense to do that. That something has come along that's made people rethink some of their assumptions, some of their values, some of their outlook. And often that can be a very good thing to do that, and many people will report that those kinds of experiences really were transformative in a good way. But the other side of that question is, how come you can live so long with perspectives that eventually you come to reject? Like, why is it that we can literally change our mind and be just as comfortable with our new delusion as we were with our old delusion, possibly? What's to make it any less delusional?
Experience? Limitation?
Well, it could be. It could also be just that we need time, as I said, to talk about it and to think it through. So for leaders, since they're vulnerable on the question of values, you really benefit a huge amount from having a chance to explore values with other people that don't mind talking about them. Because why is that important? Well, it just gets you out of your own head. You can now kind of just take something that's sort of in your head and put it out there a little bit, and it begins to, you can get some detachment from some of your thinking and get some perspective on it. And so many transformative discussions come when people are ready to have them. And when you feel like something isn't quite right, that's a very good time to have a discussion. When something's nagging you that doesn't seem to sit well with you, it's good to listen to that, because that's how people grow and develop and refine, I suppose, their values and their position on many issues. Let me just give you a little example from my own experience. I find it really, like most people, I find it really easy to dislike the systems that people are trapped in, either approaching those systems or working in them. And so sometimes my anger about systems spills into an anger about the people that are in the system, you know, that have authority in the system. And I almost constantly have to remind myself, it's the system, it's not the people, you know, because you equate the people with the system. But that's a mistake, because the systems do this to all kinds of people, you know, and even if you replace some of the people in positions of authority, there'll be someone just like them. Probably it'll come along next, you know, sort of a fresh mistake as opposed to an old mistake. And so you have to kind of rise above it in order to work with systems. And remember, it's not really the people. It is a way of thinking about things that everybody that's in that system gets infected with. It's just, and families on the outside get as much shaped by it because they have to contend with it too from a different starting point, but nonetheless they're shaped by the very systems that they have to deal with.